Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. The book of Esther starts off bleak, and then you begin to see God bring about this incredible turnaround in favor of his people. Those bleak circumstances gave way to actually a festival that's still observed within Jewish communities today, the Feast of Purim. Here is Ezra chapter 7, verse 21. Again, our devotions in this series are coming from passages that show God at work in the context of the book of Esther, particularly through the Persian Empire. And we are picking up halfway through a letter written by Ahasuerus' son, Artaxerxes, originally in Aramaic. And I want to just see the extravagance of everything that was provided for the people of God. And then I want to also zoom back out and provide context. I, King Artaxerxes, issue a decree to all the treasurers in the region west of the Euphrates River. We know the guy who's in charge of this, or at least his predecessor, because he tried to stop. The establishment of the foundation, reestablishing the foundations of Solomon's temple. Whatever Ezra the priest, an expert in the law of God of the heavens, asks of you, must be provided in full, up to 7,500 pounds of silver, 500 bushels of wheat, 550 gallons of wine, 550 gallons of oil, and salt without limit. Whatever is commanded by the God of the heavens, here it is, that's a common beautiful moniker that the Persians give our God, although it's possible that Ezra wrote this and then Artaxerxes just signed it. Must be done diligently for the house of the God of the heavens, so that wrath will not fall on the realm of the king and his sons. All right, man, this is the second time we've seen this in Artaxerxes, that it feels like it's in his best interest to hedge his bets, even though he doesn't worship God, even though Persians in general do not worship Yahweh. Just in case, the Jewish God is the one true God, we probably better appease him. All right, Haman had no such regard. Be advised that you do not have the authority to impose tribute, duty, and land tax on any priests, Levites, singers, doorkeepers, temple servants, or other servants of this house of God. Wow, even the doorkeepers are tax exempt. All right, wow. Now, just behold for a minute, like this incredible inventory, 7,500 pounds of silver. That's almost 4 tons of silver. Think about that. 500 bushels of wheat, 550 gallons of wine, 550 gallons of oil, and salt without limit. Okay, flashback time. This is all God bringing his people back to their land and more than providing for them post-Babylonian exile. Many years have gone by here at this point. This is like 50 years after the reestablishment that we saw earlier in the book of Ezra. But wow, all of this is post-exile. Okay, so you can see the extravagance, and you can see this passage, and you could eisegete it, meaning take it out of context and force into it what you have as an agenda. I'll bet that this passage gets taught a lot in prosperity ministries, for example, but it must be viewed in its larger context. This is post-exile, decades of Babylonian captivity. Okay, so remember this. If you're in the captivity years, if you're in the famine, if you're in the drought, if you're in the difficult season, I know that economically things are really, really hard. My grocery bill is going through the roof, man. It is incredibly expensive. In Washington State, we have the most expensive gas in the US. Wow, it's hard, okay? If you're going through what many people we know are going through right now with economic hardship and difficulty, man, set your eyes on the horizon. Look at what your church is currently studying and see the sovereign hand of God, and look at his limitless resources. All right, Jay Inslee's resources, guess what? God can use those. He can use those. One of the vacant lots that we're looking at buying right now is right next to a giant 200-acre lot that was actually purchased with excess tax funds. The Washington State overly taxed its citizens, and so it gobbled up tons and tons of land ostensibly in the name of, making them into state parks. But truth be told, they have no such intention of doing that. And so it could very well be that those 200 acres surrounding this vacant lot, if that's where God calls us, end up, just really serving as a natural green belt buffer for the Redemption Church's future property. But remember, all of this incredible provision comes post-exile. It comes after the dry years, after the difficulty. So take heart, trust in the Lord. The prosperity teachers who handle this text properly and give acknowledgement to the years of famine, perhaps are onto something. And if you're like me and you're a theology nerd, when you hear somebody talk about God causing you to prosper, initially that sets off your check engine light and it throws up a yellow flag. And you're like, hang on a second, I'm going to be reticent to really accept this. But remember, this is true. This is biblical. God is able to do this. His resources are absolutely limitless, and we see here a biblical precedent of Him outpouring blessings upon His people on the Persian dime. So God is able to do this. Don't discount God's ability to cause His people to prosper. You can take hope in that. It just might be God's will. It was God's will for the people of God after the events of the book of Esther. And it might be God's will for you too.